Shalom everyone, Parashat Ekev, Tafshin Peivav. Towards the end of Parashat Mishpatim, the Torah says about the nations of Canaan, they shall not dwell in your land, lest they cause you to sin against me, against Hashem. And later, towards the end of Parashat Vayetchanan in Sefer Dvarim, the Torah says about these same nations, you shall not intermarry with them, for they will turn your children away from following me. The message is clear. If someone works to ensure that the Jewish people do not assimilate into other nations, but preserve our identity and our faithfulness to Hashem and His Torah, that person is expressing Hashem's will as revealed in His Torah. In Parashat Ekev, the Torah describes Hashem as the God of gods, the Lord of lords, the great, mighty, and awesome God who loves the stranger, giving him food and clothing. In other words, Hashem cares for the stranger's basic human needs. And immediately afterward, the Torah commands us, you shall love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Mitzrayim. So someone who works to fulfill this command, to love and care for the stranger, is also expressing Hashem's will as revealed in His Torah. If one embraces one of these two values while rejecting the other, he is being faithful to only part of Hashem's Torah. Only someone who holds on to both values is trying to embrace everything the Torah teaches about the relationship between Am Yisrael and other nations. What exactly does the Torah mean by the word ger, usually translated as stranger? The first time the word ger appears in the Torah is in Bereshit, in Hashem's covenant with Avraham Avinu, when Hashem says to Avraham, your descendants will be strangers, gerim, in a land that is not theirs. The Jewish people themselves will become gerim. And the first person in the Torah to call himself a ger is Avraham Avinu. When he negotiates with Ephron of the Chittim to purchase Me'arat HaMachpelah, he says, I am a stranger among you. Ger anochi imachem. So what does the word ger mean? The classical commentators, Rashi, Rashbam, Ibn Ezra, Radak, and others, explain that a ger is someone who has left his homeland and now lives in a place where his ancestors did not live. Such a person is often vulnerable. He may be lonely. He may not have a family or social support. He can easily be exploited or mistreated. That is why the Torah, over and over, again and again, commands us to love the stranger, to treat him honestly, to care for him. In Sefer Bereshit, the word ger appears only in these two psukim, once about the future of Am Yisrael in Mitzrayim, and once when Avraham describes himself as a stranger in Eretz Canaan. Then in the rest of the Torah, the word appears around 60 times in the context of many mitzvot. It appears another 20 or so times in the Nevi'im, the prophets, and in Sefer Tehillim. Hashem deliberately brought Avraham away from his homeland so that he would know what it means to live as a stranger. Hashem deliberately brought Bnei Israel down to Mitzrayim, where they would live as strangers and slaves, so that after redeeming them and giving them the Torah, they would carry that memory forever. Every generation of Jews is meant to understand the heart of someone who finds himself alone, living far from the land of his ancestors. In the oral Torah, we will encounter the term ger tzedek, someone who converts to Judaism and joins the Jewish people in accepting the faith in the Torah and its commandments. And the term ger toshav, a non-Jew who lives with Am Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael, does not threaten our identity or our faithfulness to Hashem and His Torah, and is entitled to a relationship of respect, equality, care, and kindness. So let us return to where we began. Someone who works to ensure that the Jewish people will not lose their identity through assimilation is expressing Hashem's will. Someone who loves and cares for a non-Jew living in Israel is expressing Hashem's will. But only someone who wants both of these things is expressing the full teaching of the Torah on this subject. How should these two values be balanced in practice? That is a much longer discussion. In my view, sincere people who are faithful to Hashem and His Torah can reach different conclusions in the details about the practical balance. But one thing seems clear. If we cling to one value while rejecting the other, we are not being faithful to the whole Torah. We shall work hard to be faithful to all of Hashem's teachings. Shabbat Shalom.